This is Hilary Okron recording, explaining the code I've written concerning the coursework. Question number 1, which requested us to design a program for a certain IT company known as Balex Infotech. And in this program, the question wanted us to design a program which will help this company how to which will help this company employ the our employers, or how to foster employee payments for these employers. So what we are able to see here in the class, in the main class, are the methods that I was able to call, which I'm going to be able to explain. So in the question, we are given a number of rules to follow, and we are given a table of employers who should be seen, or who are to act as examples of those people to employ. So question part A says, create a new class called Balex Company. So if you are able to see this second class up here at my panel, I was able to create this class and I gave it a modifier public class Balex. In this class, I was able to declare and I was able to initialize certain data types, certain variables which I was supposed to use in my program. So I started with the base pay, which was in the question, the hours worked, the overtime, the total pay, and finally I gave the final double minimum wage, which equals to 8, which was given in our question. So by the word final, meaning that this is not going to change, it is a constant figure. So everywhere I'm going to be using the minimum wage, we shall know that that is an 8. So if you look down here within this class, I was able to create another method which many people call a constructor, which is a constructor. If you are able to see it, the constructor doesn't have any data type and it doesn't return any value. So I was able to give it a parameter of data. I was able to give it parameter with this data, double base pay and double hours worked. I'm giving this constructor parameters because the question wanted me, or wanted us to give. If you look at part B of the question, it wanted me to create a method that takes the base pay and hours worked as parameters. Yeah, as parameters. So I did that, and down here I called this, I introduced, or I used this dot base pay in order to introduce this, the base pay and hours worked. This literally helps us to customize, that's what I can tell, as in giving it a constant data type within a constructor. So I was able to also create a public void. In other words, I was able to create a method. This method was, I did a number of things, so don't mind about the comments, because I was trying out a number of codes and the commented out comments, and the commented out codes are the one which didn't give me what I wanted. So if you are able to look back in the question wanted us to follow certain rules. So if you look down here in my method, I introduced the control flow, which is the if statement. This if statement helps me out to decide what I should run in case of a certain condition is accomplished. So if you look at the summary rule number 1, it says an employee gets paid hours worked times the basic pay for each hour up to 40 hours. Then rule number 2 says for every hour over 40, they get overtime equals to the overtime is basic pay times 1.5, and the basic pay must not be less than the minimum wage. So this rule number 3 is what I used as my condition 1. And rule number 2, rule number 3, rule number 4 is what I used as my condition 2, and rule number 3 is what I used as rule number 1 is what I used as the control flow 3, and if all failed, then the else statement will be executed, and that is my rule number and that's what I wanted. So if you look at my if statement, you look at the 3 statements, and if helps me or helps the computer to execute a certain task in case a condition is fulfilled. So I was able to do that. So according to the rules, I was able to formulate this flow control and helped me to come out with this. So after designing this method, I came in my main class and I created objects, which is emp1, emp2, and emp3. This is the class Balex company. So I was able to print out using the print out stream or the output stream system.out.print line, and in the brackets I was able to put this employer1 total pay, then emp1 equals to new. Here I was declaring the first object, and using that declared object, I call the method from the other class Balex company to bring in the details same to the following classes. No object, and when I run the file, this is what I'm able to get. So if you look here at this field, employer1 total pay, we are getting an error. Why? In the question they said the basic pay must not be less than the minimum wage. We have 2 errors in the question. If it is, print an error. That is error number 1. Then somewhere also in the question they said if the hours are more than 60, then still we print an error. So if you look at what we have with our first employer or employee, we are getting an error 1 because if you look at his hours at his basic pay, it is less than 8. That's why we are getting an error immediately. And we have also an error at the employee 3. Why? His hours are greater than 60. So we come out, the only employer which managed to be calculated is the employer 2, because you look at his time is 47, it's less than 60, and his base pay is 8.2, which is also greater than 8, or less greater than 8, yes. So if you come here in my flow control, this is where I was able to generate the codes and the formulas of this, of what is seen in the output. Mm, So that is it. I remain Hilary Ockrell. Thank you.